Are you going to do that right now?
Yes. I think we're live. Yeah.
Okay, so hi guys, welcome back. So we are here back at Seed Talks here in Austin, Texas. We're in East Austin. We have rented an awesome, cool sound studio to do this discussion and panel. It's called Austin Studio Rental is the name of the company. The parent company being Invenio. Fantastic, awesome organization supporting our East Austin community. So, but yeah, welcome back to Seed Talk. So, we're moving into a subject matter here that is about teaching grammar in schools still, grammar and spelling. And is it still a needed thing in this current era that we're in? So, Allie, take it away. Allie's got something planned for us here.
So we've come up with a game, or actually we found it on the Kahoot website where you can interact with us by playing this game with us and against us. It's a game about grammar and spelling, and if you enter your name and you join us with the game, then you can enter into a competition or into a drawing to get a gift card. So play with us. On the TV right below us is the information to enter the game, and we're just gonna do questions about grammar and spelling.
Yeah, so the code is 180013, and when you play, you'll see the questions on the TV, and they'll be broadcasted there, and then on your phone or your device that you're playing with, you'll be clicking the different symbols or colors that the answer corresponds to on the screen. So you won't have the answers on your screen, but you'll have the buttons to choose which answer you want to have. So you'll have to be watching the live stream to know what the questions and the answers are. So.
Okay, so are they playing now? Is it happening?
Yes, it's live right now. I think we're gonna wait a second for people to enter.
Fantastic. And we're going to have a discussion. We're going to go and jump in with the discussion?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Good. Okay. Well, great. So, hey, let's jump into the discussion. So with the discussion, we have somebody really awesome that's going to be joining us today in the discussion. So we are part of the National Hispanic Institute. Our region is NHI in Austin. So there's multiple regions throughout Texas, around the country. Now moving into further countries as well. We work with different places like Panama, Mexico. Boy, there's a whole ton. We can hear a lot more about it because we're lucky enough to have the director of the international portion of National Hispanic Institute, the big guy, the guy that originated everything, Mr. Ernesto Nieto. So, Ernie, if you don't mind joining us here for a second, come on into the discussion. Hey, here he is.
Good morning.
Thank you. All right. Ernie, welcome to the table.
It's kind of crazy in here.
Yeah, modern technology, right? We moved into the new world.
I'm intimidated already. I haven't even started this dude when he's already.
What we're talking about today is the idea of do students in high school, even earlier ages, still need to focus massively on grammar, spelling, things of that nature, or is the technology already there to the point where we don't have to worry about that as much anymore? It's a big one. So, any opinions so far at this area?
Well, I, as an employer,
there you go.
Obviously, when you have young people writing business letters to parents, letters to college presidents, obviously, if you write a letter to a college president, you don't want a bunch of grammatical errors and misspellings that give you a bad imagery of who are you hiring. And so, gladly we have these self-correcting capacities via modern technology. But you still see it. You still see things like receive, R-E-C-E-I-V-E, and you still see it I-E or receipt, and they invert the letters.
Right.
Or the incorrect usage of there,
There, yeah, exactly. Or two and two, right? I'm writing to you, TWO, really? How many are we?
Yeah. I mean, that kind of brings it back to real life here because we're not talking about just simple communication through texting. He's actually talking about formal letters written to important organizations and stuff. What do you guys feel about this subject?
I feel that
this is Xavier, by the way. Xavier.
Hi. That grammar is definitely important, but in this day and age, is it really necessary? Because we do have computers that can give us suggestions and give us that can correct our spelling. But what is important is that we know how to write a sentence, and I feel that with technology, as long as you know how to convey a thought or a sentence, spell check can help you out with that if you get a word wrong and stuff. So I don't think grammar is something that was much more important back then when there wasn't things such as spell check.
Scary, right?
But now in this new age, you know, it makes you really question: is grammar really teaching grammar really necessary anymore?
So, well, let's define grammar that's taught in school and spelling.
I'm talking about like I before E except after C kind of thing, like the mental.
So you know
like,
it. So you're still being taught it. That's good. That's
Yes.
good to hear. Okay.
Um,
But I like where you go with this. I mean, we need this opinion, right? We need to see what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
So you don't think grammar is as important now, as opposed to what technology can create right now? Because Ernie brought up some great points. Because the computers at this point in time that we're at, technology does not necessarily correct grammar.
grammar. It only corrects spelling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do feel like they at least sometime in the near future, you know, they're always coming out with new different types of technology, new different types of programs.
Okay.
There could definitely be programs that come out that could fix grammar
Yes.
too.
Eventually.
I think there already are actually, but
Also,
Are there?
Yeah, you can download like extensions for Google Chrome. So I mean, I don't know how great they are, but I know that Grammarly is one of them, and I've downloaded and used it just because like it'll catch some things sometimes if I forget it. But it's not like 100%, but it's pretty good though. I can use it.
Dude, let's see what Ernie has to say.
Yeah, I'm already upset.
Jump in.
I'd like to challenge them to a couple of things.
Please do.
We're in an age of information and misinformation.
Oh, man.
And we get caught up in a bubble of modern technology where we tend to believe everything that's said to us via Google or other Wikipedia or whatever. Now we're becoming kind of our own slaves of technology. And we're entering an age of self-constructed knowledge. I promised my wife I wouldn't get too cognitive or intellectual in this.
It's okay.
So cut me off whenever you want to. But the point is that if we are dependent on external sources, at what point in our lives do we learn to self-construct knowledge, self-direct ourselves, provide for ourselves pathways to success, which includes language and linguistics? At what point do we become overly dependent? Talk to you. At what point do we become, let the computer solve the issue?
Right.
Instead of, how do I figure out things, including grammar, including thought creation, thought expression? At what point do we overdo it with technology and become its slave?
Well, I wanted to say that I think when a computer catches spelling, it's one thing, but I think we learn grammar through the way that we talk. And when you talk, you don't have to spell it correctly because you don't speak based on how you're spelling it in your mind, unless you do, but that's another issue. Grammar, you have to have good grammar in order to speak correctly. And so I think it's different because there is a different level of respect that people have when you can speak well and you can speak with good grammar, or when you can't. And so I think that relying on computers for grammar like online is different, but you can't really rely on something.
We've avoided the subject altogether.
That was good. Did you see that political flip
I know.
there?
I saw her take it and kind of tailor it to. The question is, at what point
There's the technology.
does the technology enslave us? And
We can't have technology that corrects our speaking.
Right. So, which is basically agreeing with you in the sense that
Okay, I
we
agree.
still need to have that kind of education. If
And
not,
yeah.
right, then our actual ability to verbally talk without this thing, right?
Yeah.
Right. Because this is your guys' mode of communication. Am I right? For the most part. Okay. Do you guys ever just call your friends like 3 or 4 at the night?
We have
and talk on
Skype
the
calls.
phone? No, not Skype. Yeah, you literally pick up a phone and dial one person and talk to them on the phone.
Yeah.
yeah.
That does happen occasionally still? Okay, I don't want to make sure because I haven't seen that much in this world anymore. Everything is for, visual, Skype, all those other things, which is great, don't get me wrong, it's fantastic. But yeah, so going back to what you were saying, it's okay. Hey, breathe through. You look a little angry, right? We just got challenged. It's all right.
That's a mistake.
That was a light challenge.
That was a very light
Very
challenge.
light
That was a very light challenge. Have you guys seen the movie that just came out with? It was about an aliens coming down, and they got these pods that came down to Earth. Anybody see that? Or did you catch?
I don't watch
It's
movies.
called Arrival.
I haven't
Exactly.
seen it,
I haven't seen it.
I've seen commercials.
So I'm not going to give away the movie, so don't worry, nobody. No, I'm not going to give away. But one of the things, the reason they had to bring in somebody who was a linguistic genius. Why are they here? And like, you have to go. They don't even understand our grammatical questioning of why are we here? Why are you here? Who is you? Who is we here? So there was all this, and it literally opened my eyes to the point of we still need to be there. We don't know how to communicate in the same language in our country at this point, right? We're all speaking the same language, and yet we're not, right? So I think there's a lot of interesting things in there, but I'm kind of with Ernie. This is an area that maybe we can pull back on spelling a little bit. And so did you guys do a lot of that back in your younger years?
Yeah.
Like flashcards, spelling,
Yep.
spell this word. What do you feel about that? So I agree with Ernie. We don't pull back on grammar. We need that. What about spelling? Tough one.
Spelling, I do feel it is important, especially in a language like the English language, where there are 3 different theirs. There, and there. You spell one wrong, it can mean a completely different thing. And if you are turning in, let's say, a job application, and you use the wrong there and job application, makes you look
Bad.
yeah,
Unprofessional.
yeah, very unprofessional.
True.
Also, I wanted to bring up that in 9th grade we had a unit on this, and we talked about how the people who are dictating what is correct language and what is professional are people who have gone to college and achieved the highest degree, and really those are the people writing the dictionaries. Those are the people deciding, oh, this is the correct way to say something, when really that's only like 2% of the population, and they're only representing a certain kind of person. And so if we're saying, oh, that's not grammatically correct, well, what is grammatically correct? We're listening to what grammatically is correct to someone who is not anywhere close to who we are. So
Wow.
what is grammar really is the
Whoa.
question.
And also, grammar has really changed due to things like texting, because when people text, they don't want to send a big long text and spell out every word. They use abbreviations, and they use things in saying you, they just use the letter U. And so that can really take a toll on a language.
I don't think it's really grammar changing. It's the formality of
Yeah.
the language is changing. Grammar doesn't change by just like texting someone. Like it's not like grammar's changed. Like it's grammatically correct to use you now because people text it. I mean, I get what you mean, but like grammar's not changing, and I'm fine with the people who study it and who know more than I do setting the rules for grammar, because that's what they study. That's what we want to do. We don't want, like, I get what you're saying that it's a small percentage of people, but these are the percentage of the people who have spent their lives studying it, and they know it like the back of their hand. I'm not going to say that I know grammar well enough that I want to be telling other people how to do it.
I agree with that.
But
That's
why,
their job.
why should there be a standard on how people, if someone understands the way that you're speaking, then why does it matter?
I feel like the formality of English changes. I feel like grammar should be universal.
So let me
for
ask you
everyone.
this. So not to interrupt completely, but so this has been a discussion for ever since. Well, even let's talk about English, right? Spanish is a much more clear language for the most part. Doesn't have as many differing rules as the English language does, right?
Yeah.
So, but speaking about English itself, at what point does formality change? Because you're talking about the evolution of a language.
Yeah.
You're talking about evolving communication
And evolving the standards.
and evolving the standards. Well, of course,
Like Thomas Jefferson spoke.
or devolving, if you want to go in that
Yeah,
direction.
exactly.
But still, it's a possibility.
I'm out of
Ernie.
here because y'all are getting too far.
No, hey! They're the ones who took it that direction. It wasn't my fault. Sorry, Gloria. I'm sorry. Well, Ernie, now they bring up a good point. Allie brought up a good point. The idea that are we too formal, and is this new form of communication? Is it possibility that would actually become the norm?
Well, as an old guy, I have to decode all of this text stuff, right?
It's true.
It took me a long time to understand what BTW was, right? And what does that mean?
OMW?
Yeah, I see, they don't call, they text, why don't you just call them, I'm texting, I think we're talking at two levels of communication. We're talking about informal systems of communication.
Yeah.
And then formal systems of communication.
Yeah.
The informality of it, no problem. It's in accordance to age, culture, evolving, thought, that kind of stuff. And it's efficient and it's quick and it's to the point. It is short form, it is few words, few symbols, you get the thought across and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
When you get into the exploration of abstract thought and complex topic matter and things that can have impacts on society, I don't think you're going to use the informal form of communication. So you better master that as well.
Yeah.
You better be able to clearly and effectively communicate. And so at that point, it seems to me like the grammarians win out at that point, that people who are masters of linguistics and language make a great point. And we have to master English at that point, because it is English, let's be honest about it.
Yeah.
It is the language of business in the world. I
It
mean,
really
English
is.
is spoken in China and Russia, all over the world. English is no longer just unique to the United States or certain countries like England, Australia, or Canada. English is a worldwide language, and it is a formal means of communication. Treaties, you better understand what you're saying. Agreements, consumers, contracts, you better know what you're saying. And
No,
so-
absolutely. So now the question is this, and I'm going to pose this to you and also the panel. So are we saying that every student still needs to be formally trained in formal grammar and spelling? Or is it now something that we could consider to be more of an AP type of, hey, only kids that are going to be going further, like a college prep thing? Because really, I mean, let's think about it. You know, in the current world that we live in right now, you talk about all the different dialects, and I use the word dialects, right, of the English language. You know, if you guys have ever heard, you know, there used to be something called, the word has changed, no offense to anybody, it used to be called Ebonics, right, back in the 80s and 90s. But I'm talking more, and that's used not just by one race or one culture. It's a kind of like a city culture has their own language. You have the rural country language. It's all still English. If you guys have ever been down to South Texas, it's a strange mix of English and a little bit of a different language of Spanish, but it's still English. You know, it's not even Spanglish. South Texas has their own completely unique linguistic way of talking, right? I grew up there. It's fantastic. You should learn it. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? So, okay. So the question is, though, should we teach every single kid this level?
I
Yeah, me too.
definitely think you should, because I mean, I
Okay.
get the idea of informal English. Informal English is necessary. It's nice having conversations, and I agree. You should use informal English most of the time when you're talking to someone else, when you're having a conversation. I'm fine with using informal English, but when you're doing something professionally, or when you're like applying to a job, or you're writing a paper, you want to use formal English and you want to use grammatically correct. I get the times are changing, but formal English is necessary, because when you're writing a paper, so when you're turning an application, the person might not know who you are. They don't know if you take it seriously or not, and the way you write stuff is how they can judge you. Like, that's the first impression. If they see that you're using grammar wrong, or you're not disregarding basic rules of grammar, it makes you look like you're not taking it seriously. It makes you look like you're not dedicated. It makes you look like you don't really care about what you're doing. But if you write it the correct way, it at least shows that you're putting in an effort to turn in something and do work, and that you're trying to make it the right way, and that you put in an effort to do something. So I feel like everyone should know formal grammar. I mean,
Yeah.
it's essential to know. I think you need to know to portray the right image you want about yourself.
I wanted to ask Jaime a question.
Uh-oh.
You just alluded to something that maybe I'd like to hear them.
Okay, please do, yeah.
You almost intimated, I don't know if you meant it or not, that maybe public education should have selective courses for those kids who show an inclination for intellectual abilities, and let the other ones kind of slip by. Kind of selective education.
Whoa, no.
Are we getting into
That's not what I was saying.
Darwinistic
That's not what I was
understanding
saying.
of education?
No, that's not what I was saying. I appreciate it, because this is actually more in the sense of,
Well, I was
But-
asking them,
true, but I see what you're saying, it's a great point. Let's make sure you know I wasn't saying that. What I was more saying, right, is it something that students that want to go college level and are planning to go college level, then they take those courses.
so you're saying if I don't plan to go to college, therefore,
Then it's an elective if you
Then
want
it's
to.
your
then now
It's your choice.
I'm gonna use the word selective at this point.
Go ahead.
The only reason I'm doing that is that the premise seems to be, and
Okay.
I'm asking you,
Yeah.
that kids who may want to go into other kinds of work,
Sure.
working on cars, working with their hands,
Absolutely.
that they're not as required to master language and communication as other kids. Is that, to me, that would be selective, almost Darwinistic kind of education.
I feel that everyone should be really familiar with speaking good English, and the reason for that is because if you don't, it's really important to convey a thought, and you can convey a thought by speaking, but it's really hard to convey a thought through paper where someone doesn't really like get to meet you. They're just reading something about you. And if you can send an email to someone or you write to someone and they see you have good grammar and you're able to convey a thought well, that puts you in a really good position in their mind.
I agree.
Yeah.
Ernie agrees with that too.
And I agree
totally
too.
support what you're saying.
Right, absolutely.
I was just playing the devil's advocate. I'm actually
Me
like,
too, me
a
too.
major grammar
That's a
Nazi.
very unnecessary defensive position.
But yeah, I mean, I agree that grammar should be taught in schools from elementary school to
Hard
high
grammar or just soft grammar?
I don't. It depends on how you define hard grammar.
Hard grammar is rigorous. In other words, that you dedicate, in our debate programs with the National Hispanic Institute, what is the purpose behind that? Because people who can think and express in the abstract are always going to emerge to the top.
Yeah.
And if you do well, if you know how to form thought, express thought, get particular concepts across, people are going to look to you for direction and leadership because of the knowledge you convey. It's the same thing in grammar and communication, right? The better you write, the better you express, the more masterful you are in your abilities, the more you're going to get across to the public. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. I thought you were giving me another selective.
No.
What? Selective. It's a great idea. Hey, once again, I'm not going to use the line you used, but I am being the devil's advocate. So, point being, right, is that's what I'm saying. So you guys are thinking, because Adesto obviously said it himself, that Ernie's like, hey, let's be honest here. We should be teaching this to everybody and giving them the option. So maybe it's a deselective. Maybe you actually can, after you're trying it out initially, if you don't feel like you want to go to the further levels, because that's not the direction your life is going in theory, you can opt out.
Do we have that kind of quality education in our high schools right now?
Ooh.
I don't know. I'm not.
So we're talking about three different. You're with LISD, right?
Yeah.
And you're AISD, and he's independent private. So now we got three great opinions here. What do you guys think?
Well, with LISD, they don't really focus much on grammar and spelling because the expectation is that we should already have that down, you know? But I also feel like that's kind of a mistake because I feel like you still need, there's still so much of the English language that I don't know, that probably none of us here know, like words that could convey that perfect thought that we have, but we just can't get it across because we don't know that word and other people don't know that word.
Yeah.
So I think it's really good to study the English language or whatever language for that matter throughout high school and continue that.
I also wanted to point out that teaching one, this touches on what I was saying earlier, teaching one kind of language that's kind of said to be correct by those top people is almost a way of separating the higher class from the lower class when we say that these people who can afford to go to college and study English for 8 years, they're the ones who are speaking correctly. That's kind of saying, oh, like we have to be like the rich people, and that's kind of separating the higher class from the lower class and creating like a classist what is that called? Separation. I don't know.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah. And then the way that my school is teaching, at least, so I'm in the advanced place. I'm in AP English 3 right now, and the way that they're teaching it, we're learning a lot of vocab, but we aren't necessarily touching on English. We've touched on English in the years, like grammar in the years past, but the goal of the AP classes now are to pass the AP test. That's the goal, is that they're teaching you how to pass the AP test, that you can get the college credit, because they expect us to kind of know the basic English grammar. And so I'm not saying it's bad, because that's what the teachers are told to do. And so right now, though, we're learning how to write specific types of essays that are going to be on the AP test. So like what we're going over in class is how to write an AP argumentative essay, not necessarily grammar rules behind it. So I mean, I'm saying, I guess, that we're not necessarily learning grammar per se, we're learning how to take an AP test so that we can get a college credit saying that we know the grammar behind it. So it's interesting, but yeah.
So it's kind of performance-based.
It is.
Versus,
it already is there.
Versus being transformative language, allowing me to transform myself, convey thought. I was very curious about Allie's observation about socioeconomics and language. She seems to be suggesting that higher income levels, communities are able to grasp this and therefore have a distinct advantage over those. Do you believe that to be true? Do you believe that language is a function of economics?
Of course it is.
That's what she's alluding to.
There are some
kids at Westlake are going to master.
Yes.
I'm just being controversial, just for
No, absolutely. I mean, so I work in the public world, right? I work for a major corporation. I can honestly say within that organization, within those larger corporations, you can delineate the difference between entry-level positions and higher positions, and the grammatical difference between the two. There is definitively that.
So it means that people with limited linguistic capacities,
Yes.
limited language, limited vocabularies,
Yes.
are going to find it difficult to permeate the upper echelons of business and industry. Because
Yes.
because at those levels, communication, written and verbal,
Yeah.
are factors in promotions and factors in career advancement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not by any means. I think the organization that I work, the company I work for, does its best to be completely inclusive of anybody that they'd be hiring. It's more than probably a subconscious on any level, any company, a subconscious thinking that individual is not educated enough to handle the next level.
But you have 3 districts right here, 3 different, saying we're not being taught that level of education.
Yeah.
That's what I hear. Am I correct?
I mean, we're being taught grammar at my school, but in a way that's not. This is the correct way to do it. This is how to say something. We're being taught grammar in a way that's write an essay, and we're gonna edit. Everybody edits.
But it's
each other's
performance-based,
essays.
it's not.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
And so I'm sure that they expect us. Yes, I'm sure that they expect us to have learned that already, and we're just testing our skills now. So I think that they expect us to learn it in middle school.
And I wonder if that's different in Austin, in the Austin region. Now, I grew up in South Texas. I'll admit that my grammar, spelling, and all of that, when I got up here, I was lagging behind, just even communicating with friends at college in the dorms and stuff. Like, I could tell I was not to their level English-wise, and it took me a few years to get caught up to be at a level that I was comfortable enough to have, intelligible conversations with people. So once again, but I was able to do it. So without, but even still, even in high school, no, we did spend a lot of time on grammar.
How do you feel programs like the great debate of the National Hispanic Institute and the LDZ and all those programs that are extracurricular, community-based, how do you feel, Jaime, maybe the panel advances that linguistic communications capacity or strengthens?
Well, I know you're already jumping in. Go ahead, Allie.
I don't want to.
Oh, you don't?
I feel that it really enhances it because it requires a lot of thinking and a lot of thinking on your feet. And if you can have professional conversations with groups of people on the fly, then that's a really good skill to have professionally.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Also with that, you have to, when you're doing like debate, you have to present yourself in an eloquent kind of way. You want to have nice wording to the way that you present it, so that you almost want to like paint a picture. You want to make it so obvious what you're saying with the way that you present yourself, but yet make it sound nice at the same time. So I feel like it helps me with my vocabulary that I choose to use, because it forces me to think about how I want to convey the sentence so that it's the most easily understandable, but yet it sounds professional at the same time. So I think it helps a lot with kind of the thought process and thinking ahead of time how I want to paint out my sentences and how I want to paint out my conversations when I'm trying to portray a specific thought.
Yeah, definitely. Having these kinds of conversations
It does. It's practice.
just works.
Mhm.
Works
One
our
of the things that before whatever time is allotted here, I do want to express is that I came here to bring my granddaughter.
Hey man, we appreciate
I'm just a driver that bought donuts and gave some money, and
we appreciate that
we
too.
came all the way from God. But I'm always humble. Almost like Gloria, my wife, came up and hugged me. She goes, "Isn't this wonderful?" And I think formats like this, run by them, directed by them, inspired by them, are so needed in our community.
Yeah.
It shows their heart, their spirit, their inspiration, and it provides a format. I mean, I can't thank you and Missy enough. People don't know that all of what you do is a volunteer, and everything that even your company gives is matching grants to your volunteer time, allowing them to provide scholarships of leaders. A lot of people don't know what really goes into this. They think it's just there. There is no funding here. There is no federal government. There is no state government. We're not minorities here.
Right.
We're enriched, valued members of society. And we're going to participate in the society because we own it, and it is ours.
Absolutely.
And we're going to shape it, and we're going to direct it, and we're going to be its spokesperson. And I love the spirit that's here in Austin. I wish a lot more parents would understand the importance and degree of value that you and Missy and all the adults who volunteer with you share and give to the hearts of these young people. I see their confidence, and I see other kids, and I look at the difference and I go, we're going to be in great hands 20, 30 years from now.
Yeah.
The point is, I measure things in 15 years. They're 15 to 17 years right now.
Yeah.
In 15 years, they're going to be in their 30s.
Yeah.
They're going to be out of college, married, some of them will have kids, and they're going to be the mayors of this city, the owners of banks, our legislators. So what y'all are doing right now is preparing for that eventuality. And I just wanted to thank you. I never get around to it because I just kind of show up and glare at you. And but that's just my style. It means nothing.
You did
I'm not
fine.
a big bad rule.
You were pretty nice today. You were calmer. So I know that we do the game that we're doing here. We need to get caught up with whatever this is on the big screen here. So what do we got? What are we playing?
Oh, we're playing Kahoot. Last chance to join with the code 180013. Go to kahoot.it and enter that code, enter your name, and join to play.
Right. And the Kahoot, what's it doing again? Can somebody explain what's the game doing?
It's a contest with questions about grammar and spelling.
Ah.
Spelling and stuff like that.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's cool. So
The game pin should be here on the screen, and then as the game's going, the answers should also show up with corresponding colors, and then on your
is it that 6-digit number?
yeah.
So it's 180013. 180013. Because I can see it. I'm watching this live right here on the screen.
Yep.
Technology, huh?
Technology.
Huh? Modern technology. You guys want to finish this out? We're gonna wrap up here in a second.
Should we just start?
Let's just start the game.
All right.
Ready?
I want to see what happens with this. I'm kind of curious.
Oh, one thing. You can also join Kahoot in the middle of it too.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. So
Okay.
if you're watching us and you decide you want to join, then join.
All right. Let's see what happens. They thought of this themselves. This was nothing I had anything to do
I have
with.
no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
I need to blank a better vocabulary.
And you're supposed to fill in the blank.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Oh, you can see it on
And
the
choose the
screen
right
Ernie, if
answer.
you wanted to look over.
It's okay.
There we go.
My
We all got it
granddaughter's
right. Alright, next question. Or next.
All right, we got another question.
I'm winning. Blank shall I say is calling?
Ooh, that's a tough one. It's a WHO or WHOM? So,
This is tricky.
yeah. So while we're doing that, are we up to the next question yet? That was a tough one. That was a
Yeah,
tough
I'm
one.
always tripped up by who and who.
Yes, of
Yeah.
course. It is.
My friend had a trick for that, but I don't remember it, so.
So while the next question is coming up, I did want to let everybody else know out there in the world. So we are up to about $800 raised so far, right? Now that is very close, fantastic job. Thank you, everybody. Ernie came in with 100 of his own money. His wife Gloria also came in for 100 of their own. There's a lot of parents that are jumping in and dropping money, but we appreciate everybody that's doing it. $5, $10, it all goes to these kids. Scholarships for them to do these fantastic programs and also other things, as well as paying for just transportation, busing. So as Ernie was saying, you know, we're all volunteers here. There's no funding coming from anywhere else. So thank you for your support.
We just need to be investors.
Investors in their future. That's why we
All
volunteer so much time. So go ahead, Allie.
Next question.
Yes.
Which word is spelled correctly?
Texas.
Which word is spelled correctly?
Oh, on the screen?
Yeah, it's gonna be on the screen.
Well, Pedro, oh.
What?
Which one did you answer?
I said confession.
Can I zoom in?
Oh, that has two S's.
Yep.
Dang it.
I'm not used to this non-Apple technology.
Okay,
I just have to
well,
say, I don't know what this
Only
computer is or what it
3
does.
people got it right. A lot of people got it wrong.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
I'm still
The
third.
word
I don't know how that's
confession?
happening.
Confession?
It asked which word was spelled correctly, and it had
Oh, okay, I
profession,
got you, got
confessional,
comparison.
vocation, and
Okay,
marketing.
got you.
Okay. let's
Okay,
do it
ready?
again.
First.
Next question. Select the correctly spelled word from the options below.
Oh. I know.
I don't even know that word.
I know. Oh, is that right?
What's the word?
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Oh, actually, I couldn't read that correctly. I did bring my reading glasses. This is my long glasses here, so.
Okay, one person got it right. Wow.
Thanks.
Okay, the bird has blank away.
The bird has blank away. I don't know. I can't see what. Oh, hey, there we go. It should be flown, right?
Don't tell them the answer.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I cheating? I guess I don't know if I'm supposed to play like
Okay,
that.
good. Most people got that right. I mean,
No.
not really.
I didn't know.
Majority.
Was flown correct though?
Yep.
Yep.
There you go.
Majority got it
I
right.
got it right.
It was the bird blank away.
Which
and then
sentence
like
is
flew,
grammatically
flown,
correct?
or a couple of them.
Which sentence is grammatically correct? I don't know. I need to look
You know
at
that
this.
as they develop their linguistic capacity, they also talk in choppies.
Yes, they do.
They do.
They
I'm
really
listening
do.
to them. And it might as well have been a text message you gave me.
No, Pedro always talks like
Without
that.
even
He
knowing,
always
without
has.
even knowing, they communicate in choppy.
It's a
choppy
different.
symbols.
It's a different form. You know, I've been complaining about the, and not their fault, but you know, drive-through windows, because I'll say, oh well, thank you, and there's zero response. Because in a text, you don't actually respond to thank you, do you?
I do.
Do you?
Yeah.
I say
What do you
you're
say?
Welcome.
You say you're welcome?
No problem.
Pedro doesn't. Pedro doesn't.
Really?
No, you don't. You know you
Pedro-
don't. Don't
Pedro's
lie
that
to me.
guy.
I
Exactly.
just don't text like.
I think that's all the time we have, guys. This was fun.
Aw,
Do we have any winners on this game? Do we have anything? Do we see anybody?
Pedro.
Pedro's a winner.
Can't
Fantastic
even
job. Let's
see
hear it for Pedro. How are we doing right now? Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a little break because we need to change out the panel here. I'd like to thank Ernesto Nieto for being a part of the panel. Thanks for coming by. I know you were just going to come by for
Just
some
drop her
to
off.
drop some, your granddaughter's off, but thanks for jumping in, and it's a fun thing here. So guys, come back here. We're going to be back in about 5-10 minutes here, live again in just a few. We're signing off now. Thanks so much.